Hello, hello, hello. It has been a week. No break last week, I don't think, which means it's time to start reading chapter 1178, the One Piece manga. So, I think we left off last week on quite a big cliffhanger. Usopp and Brook are down. Luffy and Loki have now showed up to fight Emu. So, hopefully that means we're getting to basically the actual climax of the arc. So, lastly, for those who've been following the channel or have been in the Discord, they should know by now that I'm actually playing through the 4.1 update of Honkai Star Rail recently. So, after this stream wraps up with this read-through, we're going to transition over to there and try to finish up the story since we're about 5.5 hours in at this point. And a buddy of mine that just completed it today told me that from where I'm at, there's about 2 to 3 hours to go. So that's going to be more or less today's schedule. And outside of that, not much going on. I already mentioned the Discord, so just a reminder to everyone, that's the best way to stay up to date on what I'm doing and when I'm doing it. What I'll be streaming and when I'll be streaming. And I also do take some people's input. Especially when it comes to upcoming projects or, honestly, other things that you would like to see me stream. And I think that's about it. So, without that, let's get into the chapter proper. So, we have another cover page of something that I don't really care about, because it's just a reader request. It's Eustace Kid, though, so that's notable. He's being chased by a bull. Reader request, Kid being chased by a bull. Charging at his cape. I haven't seen Kid in so long in the anime or the colored manga that I actually didn't remember that his cape was red. Also, fun fact, bulls don't actually charge at red capes. The flutteringness and like the teasing is what causes bulls to charge at a cape. Anywho, today's chapter is chapter 1178, Waking from a Nightmare. Which makes me think with an episode title like that, we're probably going to just see Killingham and his sleep tids probably get taken out. So somebody pointed out to me that I missed last time, but Killingham has been cut up into 3 pieces. I only noticed the 2 pieces. I didn't notice that that he had been cut into thirds. As Jinbei was standing on his body and Sanji was holding his head, or vice versa. Don't know what the rest of him is. Anywho, probably going to get some more insight into how Killingham's powers work. That's my only prediction for this chapter based off the title alone. Without further ado, let's just move on to page 2. And page 3, since I read it in the open book format. I could click this little tab thingy and do it 1-page format, but because I read them on the Viz website. But I just don't like the 1-page format, because Oda has been doing more and more like 2-panel spreads or 2-page spreads. And with the scale of Elbaph, it only seems appropriate to read it in an open book format. But yeah, I already said pages 2 and 3, so let's move on to pages 2 and 3. Oh, Luffy's yelling back to the crew. Hey, guys. What, that's Brook and Usopp? Take care of him. So how did Usopp get from this group to Emu, and now Luffy's just yeeting them back over there? To Nami's group. Okay. Huh. You want backup? I'll call if I need help. But for now, you should keep your distance. Loki's gonna get pretty reckless. Coming from you, oh god. Luffy's considering somebody else reckless. Has Luffy ever called anyone else reckless in the entirety of the series? I can't think of an example off the top of my head, but I would love to see somebody let me know if they can come up with one. And I'm sure, like, in 3 or 4 days' time, when I'm reading through other people's reactions and going through, like, a lot of the things on the Reddit and Discord are saying, I'm sure people will find an example or two. Some years ago, a ship of giants was spotted at sea. Their captain was especially gigantic, but shrouded themselves in deep mist, attacking only government assets while remaining unseen. Well, that was Harold, and that's how he became one of the God's Knights. We saw that in the flashback. They're just talking about Harold now, I guess, in a really weird, vague, and nondescript term. And Loki's firing a huge, giant lightning ball at Emu. While Emu is delivering this speech. Hey, I wanted to beat the bad guy. Oh, Luffy's getting back now. Okay. And that's the end of pages 2 and 3. Little speech from Emu. Emu gets blasted with a lightning ball. And on page 2 is basically Luffy giving Usopp and Brook back to the crew. Seems straightforward. Let's move to pages 4 and 5. Oh, Emu's speech is continuing. At the same time as this, rumors spread far and wide of a massive flying creature. Damn, she escaped. Too tiny, where are you? So wait, there were rumors of Needhog around the same time Harold was destroying ships? And so, connecting the dots... Alright. You'll pay what you did for Usopp and Brook. Luffy's doing stuff now. What is going on with Emu? Did bird leg talon thingies just break out of the body? No, wait, that's just her angled from behind. It looks like Emu is sprouting out of her chest. Is she dead? Is Gunko dead? Something popped out. This is kind of what happened to Saturn, actually, so maybe Gunko's not dead? Something popped out. If only thou wouldst vanished off the face of the earth, as rocks did. Oh. Diabolical Covenant. Oh, they're getting ready to summon the shotguns, I think. In exchange for a portion of thy lifespan, I will give thee greater strength. Okay, we're getting ready to set up the Dami Reversi. In return, ye shall hate one another. Dami Reversi. Did it work? Well, so this is Emu's big play. They're going to try to make Luffy and Loki fight each other, I guess. Well, let's see if it works. Let's go to page 6 and 7. What was that? It doesn't even hurt. Get off of me. What did you just say about rocks? As I suspected, ye are both... Oh, did it? I don't think it worked. Nope. It looks like they're gonna just launch all their attacks at Emu regardless. Target's so small I can't fight like this. Yeah, it's gotta be hard for someone that big to fight a target that small. So is Loki gonna go into his human form? Dawn Gatling. Ragnir. Look out, Luffy. Yep, and overhead hammer strike. And that seems to be the end of these 2 pages. It's just all action, so there's not really a lot for me to comment on pages 6 and 7. The most I can get out of this for retention is I'm just going to keep saying the word 6 and 7 over and over again. So people will find it funny because I keep saying 6 and 7, because that's the meme, because of 6 and 7. There's an entire weird thing about the history of meme numbers. And that's probably more interesting than the contents of this page, where the most interesting thing on the contents of this page is that Dami Reversi was cast on Luffy and Loki on the previous 2 pages, and it looks like it didn't do anything on this page. And going off of what happened on the previous page, it seems like a bit of Emu's lifespan is required and power for Dami Reversi to work. So does that mean that every time Emu uses Dami Reversi, it's using more and more of their lifespan? Cool, let's keep spamming this shit, because it's an ability that doesn't do crack. Anyway, let's go to pages 8 and 9. Nibelheim. We get his panel of Gunko. You can do that as a finisher? Man, I haven't gotten in enough. Luffy, you punched 1,000 holes into them. And now Loki's just gonna flatten them with a hammer. Oh, and it looks like Gear 5th has finally worn off. For a second there, I just thought they were showing a random old Viking in the bottom corner panel. But nope, that's Luffy. Luffy is now out of Gear 5th. It's also kind of weird. Some people have mentioned this, and I didn't really think about it too much. But yeah, it's kind of sad that Gear 5th Luffy doesn't, like, take into consideration the outfit that he's currently wearing when he's in Gear 5th. He kind of just goes into the weird, distinct Nika form. I guess it makes the design more consistent for, like, imagery purposes, but it would have been nice to see, like, a Nika wearing a Viking helmet. I don't know who was in there. This is the quickest solution. It was too big before. Oh! I just realized. I didn't really quite catch that. Did Loki freeze Emu into a giant block of ice? Interesting. So there's just a Gunko spread on her back with like an emu shooting out of them like a snake that's been punched to holes by Luffy and now frozen in a block of ice by Ragnar or Loki. Not really sure if Loki's the one with the ice powers or not. Alright, let's cut back to the fisherman village. Just put out the fire. Loki got rid of the monsters, but didn't leave us any better off. Okay, now cutting to the huntsman's village. So it turns out Loki didn't kill King Harold? Okay. I feel bad for that part, but none of the rest of it. Look what he's done to our village, just as like always. Keep sending that rain down, Zeus. I'm trying. Okay. Ooh, Lilith. Fireman Jimbei. Shoulder throwing some motion currents. There's only so much the ODC system can do, so Lilith, everyone's on fire, putting out fire duty. So, literally, putting Emu on ice in one panel, and everyone on one, and then on the next page is just a bunch of people in different areas putting out fires. Okay. Kind of a boring pages 8 and 9. I'm surprised I didn't realize that Emu got sealed in a giant block of ice, though, at first. Probably because I expected a giant hammer swing coming down to, like, be flattening him like a pancake, but no, they swung in from the side and turned him into an ice block. Really weird when you think about it. Alright, let's go to pages 10 and 11. We're over halfway done at this point, so we gotta just keep on keeping on. Alright, now we're cutting to the Western Village, which is where most of the story has been happening. Alright, everyone's cheering and celebrating. Is it all over? If they flip back to white, it's a success. But if they get back up, it wasn't enough. Okay. More about Dami Reversi and how that's working. Are we going to cut back to Chopper at some point to find out what's going on with Chopper? Alright. What's going on? Damned captains. I guess there's still a few Dami Reversi people left. Still a handful, okay. Hang on, I'll handle it. Oh, Zoro's just gonna kill the rest. Hiya! What? Chopper? Yep. Chopper is smacking people and the demons are coming out of them. Hey, Zoro, what did you just do? I don't know why, but all I have to do is hit them, and it cures their demonic power. Is it because you're such a good doctor? That's Zoro's first thought, I guess. Well, you think so? Oh, we're getting the whole Chopper doesn't like to be complimented gag. I haven't seen that in a while. But that must be it. Well done. That clears up all of this area, but what about elsewhere? That is a good point. And now it looks like, with this, all of the Dami Reversi shenanigans are now over, which means we can now move on to greener pastures and larger Elbaphs. So, I guess that's that for that. Time to move on to pages 12 and 13, I guess. I don't want to dwell on these 2 pages that much longer. I asked for what Chopper was doing, and then Chopper showed up. Alright, pages 12 and 13. Okay, so I guess we're done catching up with villages, so it's time to get back to the Owl Library, maybe? Nope, we're cutting to more villages still. The Craftsman Village, the Brewer's Village. There's just the fire to put out. Get confirmation of whether the demons are alive or dead. Yeah, it looks like everyone's been dealt with. And then at the Owl Library, Saul, what's it mean? The fire was definitely raging on in here, but I don't see a single charred book. The shelves are all empty. I don't see Biblio the Owl either. So did the owl just save all the books? Let's hope for the best. Did he remove all the books? That would be wonderful, but where is Biblio now? Okay. So now we're cutting back to Frankie's group. Once we finally started fighting back, it didn't take long. It's not like this was an all-out war against the whole organization. Knights from the Holy Land or not, it's only 3 of them. That is a good point. People have been throwing too much shade on the Holy Knights, saying that their showing here is not that great. But I think, all things considered, considering this is basically 3 Holy Knights that have done all this damage, that's a lot. That's pretty impressive. And the organization is probably like 12 or 13 people. Imagine if like you had all of them as a group here. They would, first off, they would outnumber the Straw Hats, because there would be 13 of them. And I doubt that they'd be able to pick them all off as easily. Because, like, Gunko by herself was basically able to 5v1 like a good chunk of the crew. Gunko took out Jinbei, took out Chopper, took out Jinbei, Nami, Brook, Usopp. Was it also Chopper? I don't remember. But yeah, that's a good chunk. So if all 3 of them fought together in unison, I think it would be a pretty difficult fight for any person to deal with. If anything, they were punching above their weight against Elbaph. What happened to Great Emu? Oh, that's Killingham asking what happened to Great Emu. They're frozen in a block of ice, buddy. And hopefully, if we cut back to pages 14 and 15, which we're about to do, we'll find out a little bit more about that. So I guess Biblio the Owl saved the books, even before the fire hit the tree. Granted, when they did a giant over-the-snail broadcast to the entire island of Elbaph, that would have been a good opportunity for the bird to have overheard that they were going to burn down the library. Just pack up all the books and leave. Alright. Page 14 and 15. Oh, these are the last 2 pages? This is a short chapter. I expected us to at least get a 16 and 17. Alright, outside of the Western Village. Man, we're cutting back and forth everywhere. Oh, we can see, we can see, Sommers in like a dozen pieces with his heart on the ground, still beaten. It looks like he's reforming and becoming a solid person again. And he's got like a black heart. Team Luffy. Luffy needs food. Lucky Fog. He seems hungry. You think I have food? Go to the village. Why do you look like that? And Emu just poofed. They're no longer in the ice block. And we're cutting back to Sacred Marijoa. Ooh, and we're seeing it from an angle where it looks like there's actually a bunch of destroyed buildings. But Marijoa Castle itself looks like it's completely untouched. Meanwhile, the Chamber of Flowers, Panagia Castle. 5 elders. Yes, Great Emu. I will be leaving the Holy Land for a time. Ooh, looks like they're going to go in person and do something now. That's exciting. But it looks like Elbaph is more or less wrapped up now. Now I think we can start resolving plot lines. Unless Emu is about to teleport to the Demonic Circle in Aurist Castle, I think we can just start getting to the end of the arc. So, predictions, highlights, whatnot. Frankly, a lot of this chapter is action stuff, which I'm not a big fan of, personally. What would I pick if I were going to pick up a highlight from this chapter in particular? I'm still thinking. I got nothing. Dami Reversi is done. Emu beginning all noodly. I guess Loki shoving Emu and Gunko into a block of ice. I guess we'll go with that. That's probably the highlight of the chapter. I guess the other big highlight of the chapter, besides so many people putting out fires all across the entire island, we did basically check in with everybody, so there's no more loose ends to really think about. And I guess we're just setting up for Emu showing up in person, possibly. So beyond that, I don't really think there's much more to talk about. Alright, so predictions. I've said it a few times at this point, but Emu is probably going to show up. Maybe not in the next chapter, but in the next few chapters. Emu will probably teleport in via the weird symbol thingy at Aurist Castle. Pentagram, magic circle, pick your favorite. It was nice that we saw Sommers is still up and at him, and he seems to be reforming. Also, is Sommers' heart in his head? Because we see like 2 halves of his head with a heart in between, and then the next panel, his head is back together. Loki seems fine. Luffy's out of commission until Luffy gets food. So this will give us maybe actually a chance for a little bit of a gap of some recouping and recovering. We'll spend some time putting out the fires. Luffy will have some time to get some snacks. Maybe they'll start patching up some of the injured. And then Emu will show up in person, and then we start the actual climactic final action of the battle. But if we're gonna fight Emu in person here on Elbaph, really makes me wonder about the stakes of like the final war as a whole. Because like if we defeat Emu here on this island, completely localized in the middle of Elbaph, it makes me wonder if I guess we really are trying to set up Blackbeard as the big final big bad. Because if we beat Emu here, in person, with no vessel, does it actually... It kind of basically spells the end of the world government. They don't really come back from this. I gave some, like, defense to, like, the Holy Knights just a little bit ago, but if the Holy Knights aren't attacking all at once in full force, I can't really imagine them being a threat at this point. Unless there's like 4 or 5 of them showing up at once. It seems like the Straw Hats on their own can deal with quite a bit of them. I think once you get 4 of them, that's where it'll be turning the tables, because like Sanji seems to be able to just take one out easily, no diff. Zoro can take one out easily, no diff. Luffy probably can also take one out easily, no diff. But once you get a 4th Holy Knight involved, everyone that's not those 3 in the monster trio seems to struggle with Holy Knights. So I think people are slouching on the Holy Knights. They are powerful. They're just not as powerful as like the strongest 3 members. Once you get anyone involved in that top 3, it becomes questionable. Also, it kind of brings Jinbei into question, but then again, we also have people like Gunko, who might also just be absurdly strong on their own within the Holy Knights. Because it looks like, 4 or 5 Straw Hats together, Jinbei included, wasn't able to deal with the Gunko. Alright. So, I don't think I have much more to add at this point. I feel like I've already discussed where I think the chapter's going from here, where I think the arc is going from here, but where we go after Elbaph now, I'm kind of at a loss for words. So, let's just move into the outro, where I have to say that if you're going to be watching me live right now, stick around. We're going to be doing some more gaming. And if you're watching these on YouTube, check out what else my channel has to offer. Maybe you'll find a playthrough of something that you like, or maybe you haven't seen some of my other reactions to previous chapters of the Elbaph arc. I think everything from chapter about like 1033 to present is up there on the YouTube channel in a playlist. And just a reminder again, if you've been watching these on YouTube and not live on Twitch, I stream live on twitch.tv/sheetstreams. And I let people know when I'm streaming and where I'm streaming and what I'm streaming. All on my Discord, links to which are where links are. We also do some React content on the channel, so keep an eye out for that. And I will probably have this uploaded and live probably sometime on Monday. So, until then, I'll see you all next time. If you're here, stick around.